Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you isn't in any survival manual you'll find on a bookstore shelf, and it's definitely not the kind of thing the mainstream media wants circulating. There are secrets out there, 7 of them in fact, that could mean the difference between being a helpless bystander and someone who not only survives but thrives when society hits the fan. Most people think prepping is about stockpiling beans and batteries, but real survival science, tested in ways most people don't talk about, goes far beyond that. This isn't just theory. It's physics, biology, and human psychology wrapped together, and it's often hidden because knowledge like this shifts the balance of power. First, let's talk about water. You've probably heard a dozen times that a human can survive 3 days without it. True, but here's the forbidden part. The government, emergency planners, and even most survivalists underplay the quality and storage methods of water that actually make it safe and last months, sometimes years. There's a difference between bottled water and water that's stored correctly with oxygen absorbers, UV sterilization, and heavy-duty food-grade containers. Microorganisms are patient killers. They're invisible, slow, and relentless. But if you store water in opaque, sealed containers with a controlled pH, you dramatically extend its shelf life. And no, you don't need expensive gadgets. The principle is simple chemistry and physics. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources.
Next, food. Stockpiling MREs and canned goods is fine for a week or two, but long-term survival hinges on what nobody wants you to know about: caloric density versus sustainability. Most preppers panic buy sugar-laden rations that give energy spikes, but nothing for endurance. Real secret: focus on high-fat, high-protein, shelf-stable options that mimic the body's natural survival metabolism. Think powdered eggs, freeze-dried organ meats, and coconut oil, foods that your body converts into slow-burning energy, keeping your muscles, brain, and immune system functional when stress and scarcity hit. Combine that with simple permaculture techniques like sprouting seeds in jars indoors, and suddenly you have a renewable, almost invisible food source. People hoarding in panic rarely think this far ahead. Then there's shelter and thermal management. You might assume a basement with a few blankets is enough, but here's a shocking truth. The body burns nearly half of its energy maintaining core temperature in a crisis. That's why preppers who ignore the science of insulation and passive heating fail first. The secret lies in layered, reflective insulation combined with simple physics tricks like trapping heat via convection loops and thermal mass. You can create microclimates indoors that are literally 10 to 15 degrees warmer without electricity, using nothing more exotic than aluminum foil, old mattresses, and strategic ventilation. It's low-tech, but it works because heat follows physics, not wishful thinking.
Now, let's address communication. When the grid goes down, most people panic because they think they're cut off. That's exactly what the powers that be want you to believe. Here's the forbidden truth. Basic, low-frequency radio, Faraday cage techniques, and even hand-built signal amplifiers let you tap into survivable networks that are almost entirely invisible to mainstream channels. You can share information, track threats, and coordinate with trustworthy allies without relying on cell towers or the internet. And yes, the materials are shockingly accessible. Aluminum mesh, insulated wire, and solar-powered batteries. If the authorities ever had to admit it, they'd also have to admit that the population could self-organize faster than they could respond. That's why it's downplayed. Security is next, and this is where human psychology becomes survival critical. In a collapse scenario, looters and opportunists aren't just fictional TV villains. They're your immediate threat. The secret preppers use isn't just weapons, it's deception and unpredictability. Fake stockpiles, controlled visibility, and decoy living patterns are all science-based strategies that reduce risk without escalating violence. The brain reacts predictably under stress. The smartest preppers exploit this knowledge, creating environments where intruders make mistakes long before reaching anything of value. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. Another secret involves medical readiness. Standard first aid kits are basically useless in prolonged disasters. The real edge comes from understanding wound microbiology, the body's immune response under stress, and improvisation with natural and chemical resources. For example, common antiseptics like iodine or alcohol can be amplified with controlled heat, dilution, and layering with natural antimicrobials to handle infections that would otherwise turn lethal. Preppers who neglect this often underestimate how quickly a small injury can become catastrophic in a resource-scarce environment. It's the science nobody wants you to know. Infection, not bullets or looters, is the real silent killer in extended crises. Finally, the ultimate forbidden prepper secret is mental resilience. You can have every resource, every technique, and every skill, but without psychological endurance, you fail first. The brain reacts to prolonged scarcity with panic, depression, and poor decision-making. Secrets here aren't in motivational quotes. They're in controlled stress exposure, compartmentalization, and decision rehearsal. Preppers use stress inoculation techniques, micro-discipline routines, and cognitive redundancy training to maintain calm when everything is falling apart. Think of it as mental armor built in peacetime, so that when the apocalypse comes, your mind is not the weak link.
Put all of this together and you have a survival blueprint that goes beyond canned beans and dusty bunkers. You understand water chemistry, caloric strategy, thermal physics, invisible communication, deception and security, microbiology, and cognitive conditioning. Each element alone is powerful, but in combination, they form a network of resilience the average person can't even imagine. The most important takeaway? None of these strategies are illegal, none require massive wealth, and all of them exploit basic science and psychology that's been hiding in plain sight. You've just glimpsed the forbidden knowledge, the kind that governments, corporations, and experts quietly prefer you never learn. If you take this seriously, your survival chances in any prolonged blackout, societal collapse, or nuclear threat scenario multiply exponentially. Knowledge like this is not about fear, it's about agency. It's about realizing that the world is a dangerous place, but danger obeys rules. And when you understand those rules, when you apply them with precision and a touch of cunning, you don't just survive, you thrive. Because in the end, the apocalypse isn't some abstract concept in a movie. It's a set of predictable physical, biological, and psychological challenges. And those who master them quietly, efficiently, and scientifically, they write the rules for themselves, while the rest scramble and panic asking why nobody told them. This is your blueprint. 7 forbidden prepper secrets, all rooted in science, all grounded in survival logic, and all designed to give you a real edge in a world most people are utterly unprepared for. Take them seriously, practice them, and understand them. The apocalypse isn't coming. It's already possible at any moment, and the difference between surviving it and becoming a cautionary tale is knowing what nobody else does.